Mike and I were reflecting on our journeys. We started thinking about how we originally met. And Mike said he'd forgotten this part of the story. Like whenever Mike tells the story, he says, we won this cruise to the Bahamas, which we did. And it was awesome. We were on this cruise, and then the other part of the story is Mike and Christy and Paul and Kareem were sitting in the hot tub on this cruise. And that's definitely part of the story. But as I was laying there last night, I said, do you remember how we ended up in the hot tub? And I started talking about what happened was, all the leaders, they'd arranged this comedy show that we all were going to go to. And so we're sitting in the audience of this comedy show, and I'm there with my wife, and Mike's in there with Christy. And we knew each other, but we weren't like tight or friends, or we were just kind of like acquaintances and there to have fun. And so we're in this comedy show, and right as it opens up, and let me preface this by saying, I have a checkered past. So there are not many things that offend my sensibilities. And I'm a tolerant person, and I do my best to be open and non-judgmental and all of those things. And that's how I was in this comedy show. And so there's a lot of things people can say and do in comedy that wouldn't offend me at all. But this comedian, he opened up and he was just immediately, it wasn't even funny. He was disrespecting women in the most crude, vile way. And it just felt so bad, and it wasn't funny at all. And so the first couple of minutes we sat there, and I look at my wife and I'm like, wow, what is this? This is just, it's shocking. And a lot of people in the audience were laughing. They thought it was funny. And so my wife and I, we got up and we walked through the crowd right in front of the stage with all these people sitting there. Mike and Christy got up, walked through the crowd with all these people there. And that's how we ended up in the hot tub together. And the meaningful part of that story is, as I mentioned to Mike, that our friendship started because we stood for our values. And then as this, the story continues, we're in this company that some of you guys were in, and the company started doing things that were out of alignment with their values. It just made our hearts hurt. And so Mike and I together did a hard thing, and we said, we can't do this anymore. We gotta leave. And so we flew and met with the company owner and gave him a hug for everything that he'd done for us, because we really did love him and are still very grateful for him and everything that he taught us. But he had to do things that were in alignment with what was on the inside of us. And then we started his own business academy in this community, which is really all about, being in alignment with the highest good and the highest of what's inside as far as you can. And for some reason, we never connected all those three dots, but when we thought about it, it was just so, so amazing to think about. And then to reflect on how that intention is building this and you guys, and I didn't have a word to describe how I feel about this weekend, so I had to look one up on the dictionary this morning when I was in the gym, because I was just, I like the line from Napoleon Hill where he said, the best of words limp when talking about the power of belief, because sometimes words just can't describe what you're experiencing. But there was one word that I found that kind of comes close, and it's transcendent. And transcendent has something to do with above and beyond the normal human experience. And that's really how I feel about this week. It was just so deep on so many levels.